What diet should you follow to be healthy and to live your best life? We're going to talk about that, but thanks for coming back for another episode of On Fire Fit Life. In this video, we're going to be talking about healthy ways to eat, and I am going to go a little bit off track and talk about the way not to eat. However, in my content on this channel, my goal is for you to be able to apply nutrition, fitness, mental, and spiritual health in a way that's doable for your life and to be well and whole. And so wellness is the theme of this video as well as this channel. I did make a video that you may want to watch that's on my other channel on FireFit, and it talks about the self-help industry and some of the pitfalls in that arena. And the reason that I am bringing that same concept into this video, the diet industry is an industry that is definitely making a profit off of new ways of eating, trying to come up with something innovative, whatever it is that they can get you hooked on for the next thing. And in reality, probably there is a lot of actual interest in improving people's health. Unfortunately, what I've seen is a lot of jumping from one diet to the next, and that in and of itself can sometimes create inaction, right? So you may feel like you finish a diet book or you read a diet book and you're very enthusiastic and you're very excited about implementing this new way of eating, and then you start trying to do it and it's not quite as easy or exciting or fun. And that's partly because there's a lot of dopamine surges that happen in the innovation and excitement of a new thing. But when that newness wears off, you're back to maybe a struggle. Maybe it's not as easy as you thought. Maybe you hadn't really thought through what it was going to require to follow that new plan. Because of that, we tend to jump from one thing to the next, get those surges of dopamine that make us feel good, but then we don't actually see change that lasts because we don't take action repeatedly over time. And that is in and of itself a big problem in the industry of weight loss, health, and all of that. I don't think that the diets in and of themselves are usually too horrible. Some are. Boy, we've had some that are horrible. But a lot of them have healthy components to them. So I'm not trying to bash that whole industry at all. But how can you take something, make it applicable for your life, and repeat it over and over again? One thing would be to recognize the fact that it's not always going to feel exciting, and that's okay. Making it something that you can repeat time and time and time again, over and over again, is going to be the thing that will allow you to go the long haul. That may require some new habits, that may require a new way of thinking, but a lot of people that I coach are frustrated, don't know what to eat, feel like they're always thinking about food, that food is always on their mind. What should I be eating? What shouldn't I be eating? And there's a lot of decision fatigue with that. So in this video, what I would like to do is just break it down to some very basic concepts that we can develop later. And I am putting together more of a program that will be very cohesive. But the very basics that I would start with is watching what your snacks and your meals are composed of. Number one, unprocessed. So as much as possible, stay away from the fast food, stay away from anything that you can buy that is a convenience food, unless it's been a healthy food that was, pre-chopped or something like that. I know that in and of itself is going to be a challenge for many because our taste buds have gotten addicted to all the salt and sugar and preservatives. However, a very good, very basic way to start is unprocessed food. When you look at the composition of what you're eating, having protein, healthy fat, vegetables, and a side, if you choose to, of a high fiber carb is going to be your best composition for each of your meals. Snacks, you're better off having protein, vegetable. If you're not diabetic, you could have a little bit of fruit or a healthy fat, something that is not processed, something that you can grab, like a hard-boiled egg is a great snack, a handful of nuts. Again, if you're not diabetic, you can eat some fruit. Diabetics, I usually steer away from fruit as a snack, and I'll get into that in another video, but trying to stick with a whole food, unprocessed diet, primarily healthy protein, whether it's vegan or animal, a healthy fat, a vegetable of some kind, or an assortment of vegetables. And then if you choose to have a carb, try to have it be a high fiber carb, okay? Proteins are going to be your turkey, chicken, fish, meat, tofu, beans. Beans kind of hits a few different categories. Eggs, did I say eggs? So those are gonna be your protein. Your healthy fat is gonna be nuts and seeds and avocado oil or olive oil, things of that nature. Vegetables, you probably know. And then carbohydrates are going to be the things that have more fiber. I recommend more like potatoes, sweet potato, fruit. If you're gonna have a thing like rice or bread or pasta, I would look for things that have more fiber and try to make your meals composed primarily of those individual things in your meal. Some people will feel like, oh, that's too much. It really shouldn't be. If you make your meat, maybe a couple days ahead of time, you can make, whatever it is. Like, I'm gonna make ground turkey today. I'm gonna put that on my salad. I'll probably have a slice of whole grain bread as my carb. I'm gonna have a dressing that is composed of like a avocado oil base with tahini and that kind of a healthy fat. That shouldn't be too hard. If you make a grain ahead of time that's high in fiber, if you have your protein, you can cook frozen vegetables for your side of vegetables. You can make a salad. You can chop up vegetables if you choose to. You can buy vegetables that are pre-chopped. We'll go deeper into each of these categories at some point, but the general idea is when you look at your plate, where's the protein? Is there any healthy fat? Where's my vegetable? And then, oh, there's a carb. It's got to be a high fiber carb. You don't have to always have carbohydrates, but if you're going to have it, try to have it be with fiber. Beans tend to kind of hit a couple categories. They've got some carbohydrate, they've got a lot of fiber, and they have some protein. So I love that as a kind of a substitute for a protein, but it also serves as a carb. And fiber is always going to be your friend. I will go into another video on that at some point. So it's not earth-shattering. It's not super exciting. It's not telling you to, follow some new way of eating, but it is sustainable and it is something you can take to restaurants. I do it all of the time. I will get a baked potato, I will have salmon, and then vegetables. I love eating out knowing kind of like the composition of the food that I'm going to eat. And you can really take it anywhere you go. Fast food is a harder one, but you can find ways to eat even healthy at most fast food places. And yet, most of the time, we kind of have excuses why we don't want to choose those healthy things, but that's for another video. So, for today, your take home point is get away from looking for the next fix, the next best thing, and embrace the old-fashioned way of eating, unprocessed, nourishing, balanced. Come back to the way God created us to eat, the foods that He made in His perfection. And we don't always have the most perfect scenario for how these foods grow or raised. We do the best we can, but we thank God for providing food that is good for our body. We thank Him for how He has sustained us, even though there's a lot of toxicity out there in the world, but we do the best we can with what we can do, and just come back to the basics. All right, let's do that. All right, thanks so much. I hope that you live today on fire. Let me know if you have any questions or video ideas that you would like for the future, and I will see you in the next one.